Okay, so what I would like to present to you guys is the journey which I was having a lot of fun, connected with the learning and how I could utilize my knowledge from the Power Apps and Power Automate perspective. So this is the really the communication side, which there was a decision from the stakeholders that it will be this landing page, because initially I wanted to do everything in the Power Apps because I like Power Apps so much. Yet they decide that it will be more engaging for the users to use SharePoint. And after the time, I need to say that I agree with them 100%. Because with the Power Apps, we tend to sometimes do the same things, or reinvent the wheel where there is no need for that, because we have so many interesting and nice functionalities in SharePoint itself. So I will show you how the user journey in this solution looks like first, and then we'll move forward and we'll get to all of the nice bits and pieces. So as a user of my company, I can start the learning in this site, and I have a couple of the options. I can first of all explore what is inside, what is prepared for me, and for that experience, I didn't customize that a lot, but this is basically the site pages view customized with the possibilities of the formatting with the JSON. So if I'm a total newcomer, I can start to scroll here. I can start to look into various resources, and then I will see the content of that module and the learnings which are connected with it. And here is the first moment when I even interact with the Power Apps, though in some cases maybe I don't know about that yet. So if I found something interesting, I went through the whole learning, I can start to take the quiz and I can start to answer the questions. And this is the self-service, so I can try as many times as I want. And in this backend of the system, everything is recorded. So every retake is counted to see how difficult it is to pass a specific quiz. So I will give it one more time maybe. And that was the correct one. It is a little bit better, so maybe the next one will be correct. Yes. So now when I pass this quiz, every time when I will navigate back to this page, if I forgot about my learning, I will see this pop up about the congratulations. So user will be not asked second time to fill in the same quiz, unless the owner of this module will decide that it changed so much that they want to reset that. So this is the journey of a normal user who is doing the learning. But if something is interesting for me, maybe I want to show that or share that with my colleagues. And for that, I added to the application the assignment module. So basically here I can explore all of the modules and I can recommend them, assign them to my colleagues. And I can quite easily start to look for my colleague and say why it is good, because it is great, something like that. And this is again the part of the Power Apps where user don't need to know about this. The next element, because I need to wait for this assignment to be delivered, is the tracking. I can track my progress and how I'm doing in my learning. So here I can see all of the results. Okay, something was cut a little bit. All of the results and all of the modules which were assigned to me. If they are completed, I will see that. If they are not begun, so they are recommended for my learning, then I will see that also. And what is nice, I can directly go to a specific module and then start the learning if something was on my to-do list. Okay, I can hear that the content was delivered, and that is nice. So first of all, user is having from the assignment recommendation is getting the notification about the content. Of course, the links are connected, and if I will check, then I will go to the module which was recommended for me, and I will see the content and the learning connected with a specific module. Then something else is also happening in the background, because if let's say following partially GDPR regulations, we shouldn't allow people to see everything about us. And some people are considering this data as the number of my score, the number of the retakes, and when I was trying to learn, as some kind of the sensitive data. And only people who are allowed to see such a content should get the access to it. And this is something what was really strongly built in this solution. And as part of this approach or this thinking, we implemented a sample small approval where the user who is in my assignment, so all of the people which I had in my list. Oh, come on. All of the people from this list will get the notification that I assigned the content to them. And then they are asked if I should see their progress or not, because this is in some sense nominating of the quasi-manager role. So if user who is creating the assignment is my manager, then I shouldn't have any type of the problem to approve his request. And let's try if this will work. It might not work, because unfortunately I had the problems with my dev tenant and I was migrating everything in a couple of hours, so it was harsh. But let's see if that will work. The process which is working behind should be triggered in a couple of seconds, and I should be nominated to be the manager of that person which I put in my assignment. And as the manager, I can track the progress of my colleagues. Okay, I didn't update the navigation, but that is no problem. I can track the progress of my team or my colleagues in this screen. So everyone who are in my assignment list, to everyone to whom I send that notification, will be here if they will approve this request. Unless they reject it, then I will not see their progression, and I can check how they are doing in their learning. So this is the status of each person.
Hey, that's pretty slick. So is this different? So this is the manager user tracking. Is that a different app than what you're seeing for the user?
Yes, so technically speaking, I should have a different app for that, because it is growing and growing. But when we will go to the details, I will show you that this is literally only a couple of the controls, so it is not heavy for the whole solution yet.
Right.
Though the security in the SharePoint was really tricky to figure out how to do it. And if I will now connect to that main thought, for the managers, there is a special list dedicated to keep only information about the managers.
Okay.
So I have the list and I have the team which is connected with the whole quasi manager guy.
Right.
And every time when somebody is added to that list, this team will be updated. So I will show you how this is done, and maybe in the meantime I will trigger this notification for the solution notification account, so we can see that how it is working in real life.
That's great.
Okay, so when it is processing, then this is like one tier of what I needed to do. This is this manager list, and it will gather the information about all of the people which started to send the assignments. So they are like a quasi managers, and they are also connected with the SharePoint permissions. I was struggling a little bit if I should do that as SharePoint groups or as the Microsoft 365 groups. Yet so far I'm working with the SharePoint built-in groups, as most of the solution is on the top of SharePoint. If we'll migrate to Teams, most likely I will move also to the Microsoft 365 groups. Okay, I can see right now that I should get the notifications already. So the process is repeated. I am also getting the the notification about the learning recommendations, and the same approval. So if everything will work as it should, let's close it. Yeah, then this field should update with a new person in the team. And there is one more bit which is also connected with the manager, so it is also checking this security list if you are having the permissions to see this item, as this item should only be exposed to the managers. And there is this secondary role for the admins. So in the perspective of the backend, it was a little bit twisted to prepare that so it would work normally. Because with the SharePoint, we have some limitations. And I think if I would need to add another role, I would start to think to change the data source backend, how we want to call it.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you were to change it, what would you think that you might change it to?
Yeah, I was thinking to go with the Dataverse. Yep. Though it might have some implications from the commercial licensing perspective, but it is giving me a little bit more flexibility to manage the data, and I will be less worried about the limits of the delegation and how the data are pulled in, how the relations are created. So a lot of implications would be connected with this migration of the data. Okay, so if I'm lucky and this process worked, I should see here another person on my list. Yes, thank you, demo gods. Okay, so I can see the progress of our next person. And this is basically what is like triggering the whole traffic in this solution, that the managers can create the assignments for their team, and they can track their progress. And on the other hand, users can travel here, and they can start and look for interesting resources for them. And right now, I only need in the backend, I have only one application, 2 workflows, and right now in the middle of creation of one dashboard for the report more. Yeah, because there's a couple of the pages in the Power BI.
What is it that you're showing right now?
This is what the users will see if they are starting to explore the application, the learning in that sense. Because if I would go here, I wanted to create something which will be engaging visually for the users if they are scrolling, because I think we are in the 2020 and we don't need to have such a view. So users, if they are looking for the modules because they can just browse for the modules, they would normally see such a list, but I guess this is a little bit better.
Yeah.
And this is all done, of course, with the formatting of the views. And if you would like to start the journey, there is, of course, some kind of the designer. I don't have the URL right now with me, but you can use a designer, or you can pick part of the code which is visible when you are creating the list. Because if you are going to the list itself, you can also start to format the views, and you can pick up that code from here. So this is like a pro tip. If you want to create a little bit more engaging visualizations for your libraries, because in the level of the libraries, we don't have that supported in this card designer. But if you will just switch to the advanced mode, you can copy the whole JSON and adjust that for yourself. So this is basically the site pages library, as the URL is stating. And thanks to that we are having this formatting, we are creating a better UX for the users. So the navigation is a little bit easier because we can use the native group by functionality of the SharePoint views. And as the user, I can find the content a little bit quicker. Okay, so this is more or less how it is working. If there are any type of the other questions, I'm happy to answer, but I can now show you how this was built.
No questions as of yet, but if anybody has any, please post them. Both Steve and I are moderating, and if there's something that comes up, then we're happy to pull that in.
Okay, so just to maybe trigger some questions, I will also show you what I'm creating here, because like I was writing in the description of my session, although I'm using the SharePoint lists, with following some logic approach, I can connect the data quite easily. And this is how it is represented, of course, in the Power BI, that I have for every module the GUID, which is really the GUID which is generated automatically when the module is created. And thanks to that, I can connect that with the various details inside of the whole solution. So I know that SharePoint is not the relation database, but if you will follow some rules, you can create the relations, even not using the lookups columns. So this is like the whole idea how it was built, because if we will go here to the modules, so there are the information about the module, you will see here the GUID, which is associated with every module. And this is the key for all of the connections which are created in this solution. Okay, so starting from here, this is of course the Canvas Power Apps application. And maybe I will just go to the personal tracking, because I would like to show you how I was progressing with the idea of building that. As you can see, there is the standard way that creating the header, footer, and the main content. Though when I started to embed that inside of the SharePoint pages, I started to think that maybe I can save some place, because if it is the embedded inside of the SharePoint page, I have the header here. So I can create some kind of the engaging header right away in my page, and I'm getting the extra room in my screen. So that was something what I started to think, that if we are correlating SharePoint and Power Apps, sometimes we don't need to put the headers on or the footers or some other elements which are normally adding to our solutions. And with that, we are getting a little bit more space, which is quite important for the data. And with the same principle, I recreated this module recommendations. Previously, there was also the header, and it was occupying quite a lot of space. Now I can list more modules, and users will see more content right away without the need to scroll. And this is actually the backend. So let's try to refresh the data, all of the connections.
Okay, well, that's refreshing. We did get one question or two questions in.
Yeah.
Naveen asked the question, did you try to integrate with Microsoft Learning Pathways site?
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I was thinking about that, and part of our production development is, again, to not recreate the wheel. We are providing the links to the Microsoft Learning Pathways, but we are adding also our own questions. So although we are using the Microsoft content, we are also adding extra questions in our quizzes, so we can track who passed the learnings, because then we can get a better insights about what is happening.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the second question here, Naveen, if you have an additional question to follow up with that, feel free to write in again. Then we have another question here. How did you get the pages to show the specific Power App screens within SharePoint?
Okay, so we can start here. And just a matter of the introduction, this is the quiz management. So because initially the application was disconnected from the SharePoint pages, some of the details are repeated, and I'm working to connect that so the content creators don't repeat the information. But answering the question, this is the on start, and hope you can see that, but I will make it a little bit bigger. The this is the key which is allowing me to load the correct screen depending on the parameter which was provided. So for the technical screens like module recommendation, personal tracking, and manager tracking, I'm using the redirect. So if I will open the correct page, let's make it a little bit less. I'm using here the Power Apps web part, although I was playing recently with this enhanced Power Apps web part, which is on the GitHub, and it is working a little bit better, but I didn't want it to demolish anything here. So what we are doing normally when we are adding the application to SharePoint, we need to know the one bit, which is of course the application itself. We can get that from the details screen, and this is this web link. So this is the first what you should copy and put inside of this URL. What I'm adding only to that is this and then the parameter name, in my case it is the redirect, equals specific value of my parameter. And when application is starting, it is just checking basically this parameter. If it has the value, then it is redirecting me to the correct page. I'm also using the with, so I don't need to repeat that information so many times, because it is I'm checking first of all if the parameter is blank, of course, if it is not blank, and then I'm using that inside of switch, because I have 3 conditions to check, and then this is my preference to use the switch instead of the nested if.
That's a pretty exciting switch control there you got. It looks like it's very powerful, and you couldn't even tell that. I couldn't tell if it was a different app or not. So that's, I mean, there's some huge advantages to that.
Yeah, but again, going back to the permissions aspect, I was strongly thinking to disconnect the tracking of the managers from this main application, but again, it is only of a couple of the controls, so it is not heavy for the application, but from the permissions perspective, I was tempted to do so. But with that, it should be fine for now. And of course, there is a check for the quiz ID. But maybe let's move to this management screen, and let's see what is happening here. As the admin, I have access also to a couple of the other screens of my solution. But if I'm the content creator, what I need to do? I need to create a new entry for my module. Then I'm going to edit that. And if all of these properties are ready, so the module name, the SharePoint connection, thanks to that, I can send the recommendation with a proper link inside. Then I'm specifying the number of the passing score, the number of the questions. I know that it should be calculated, but I'm working on that, and some metadata which are used to filter the modules in other parts of the system. If I'm happy with this part, I can start to compose the questions, and the questions are created super simple. So I just provide the information. Then I'm selecting the type of the question, and I need to remember also about the ID. Again, that can be calculated, but it is not yet. And if the question is added, I can then test my quiz. Unless I finish it. So let me maybe start a new one just to be sure, or maybe from the number 5. Let's try now one more time. Yeah. So if everything is ready, if I'm happy, if I didn't provide a number, I can correct that quite quickly. And as the content creator, I don't need to do a lot, so the quiz will be working. And As in the case of providing the parameters for the redirection to a correct screen, in this case, for the content creators, I'm providing the whole URL, which they need to just copy and paste to the module page. So this is as simple as that. If I will find any type of the module, let's maybe go to this one. I will edit it. And then I can provide my link, which is of course connected with the quiz ID. And now it is associated with a correct quiz. So the content creators, they just need to know how to create the SharePoint page, how to model, let's say, its structure, and simply to copy the quiz URL. Of course, to speed up everything, if I will go to a new page, so I want to create a new module, we created a simple template. So the process of creation of new entries and new pages is even quicker. Okay. And this is how basically the content creators are working in this application. The quiz management is exposed at a totally different page, so a normal end users will not get the access. Additionally to that, if you are not a member of the content creator, so you don't have the pathway assigned to you, you will see here the blank page. So from the permission perspective, even if user will find that by the accident or by trying things out, they will see the blank page. And how you can achieve such a result? This is the test quiz. Okay, the test quiz. I will hide the success screen because it is starting to annoy me. Okay, visible, and let's just say it would be false. Yeah.
As you're working through some of this information as well, that we did get one other question. It was, what were the most difficult delegation problems you faced, and how did you solve them?
Yeah, so with the delegation, I was thinking how many items I will have, and based on all of the conversations with the stakeholders, we knew that we will not go with the modules over the 500 items. And that was like the first information for me, which was really, really important. Then the number of the questions, I know that it will be a high volume of the questions and potentially question answers. And this is where I really concentrated to, in some sense, compress the data. And I will show that to you what I mean in the quiz screen. So basically, this is a gallery. So this is this dynamic form or the infinity form. Basically, with the galleries, you can achieve a really similar effect, like inside of the form, but you don't have these thousands of the controls, because for every property in SharePoint, you are getting the 4 controls. So if you are designing the quiz, you would get a lot of controls, and we want to maintain that under this 500 limit of the recommendation. And for that to work in the quiz creation, I thought really how to do it, and I decided that this label, which is responsible for the creation of the questions, will be what will allow me to generate everything in one record. So the content creator don't care how many questions he will put here, but I want to keep a single question in a single record. So as you can see, I changed a single value, and now I have the additional option to provide 4 answers. And this is done and looks like this in the back end.
That's pretty awesome how you have it all built in. I'm very familiar with building these, but a lot of times I end up not building those edit screens that you have there. So kind of having that full solution in there actually looks really nice and makes it really useful for the end user where they don't have to leave and modify information elsewhere. So, you know, just kind of having that screen to build those questions, and then it aggregates all the questions together, part of that same quiz, and shows that all on one screen. It makes it really easy to use.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really wanted to create the backend for them because I had this delegation limit in my mind. So as you can see, here is the single answer to the single question to the quiz, but the answers are recorded like this. You can see here, maybe again, I will make it a little bit bigger. You can see here that the answers are split with this dash dash, or I don't know how to call it exactly this character, but I'm using it to, let's say, save the answers to the question in a single row. Thanks to that, I'm controlling the number of the items with which I'm working. Users don't feel that thanks to the screen, but in the backend, I am just using a single field to store all of the answers.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, so you're able to then you kind of you pull out the specific answers within the gallery when they're able to see it.
Yeah.
And then you're able to store it differently. You know what it makes sense to do on the back end to satisfy that delegation need. You know that you don't want to run into too many too many rows. Otherwise, you have to get really creative around that.
Yeah. Yeah, and with that, the answer to this, to create this collection, because it is also the collection, is literally to use, I think it is here on change or on select. Yeah, so this is using the idea that if you are having the string, which in my case is ABC or AB, it is for each record which result of the split to create a new entry in my collection. So with that, I can quite easily add more options for the content creators in literally a couple of clicks, and I don't need to change anything in my backend. So if I will go even further, it will react right away because, oh, yeah, it is adding me more options. And the same goes with the front-end quiz solution. I'm not limited to only A, B, A, C. I can move and I can create as many answers as I want, because, you know, in the design phase, they will say to you that we'll have only 2 answers. Later on, they will say that we will have only 3 answers, and so on, so on, so on.
That shows your experience right there. I mean, honestly, every time.
Yeah, so trying to, you know, save some troubles for yourself in future, that was in my mind when I was designing this. And now if I will add all of the answers, and that will be number 5. If I will go to the quiz itself, I will see that also added. This is connected also with a challenge when somebody is adding a super long question, and that is why I'm using the nested galleries to display that, though it is not perfect as we can see. But with this approach that I am saving that to a single record when I am working with my questions and answers, I'm not limited by what the content creators will say. And that was one moment when I was working with the delegation a lot. The second one was when I was creating the personal tracking and all of the trackings inside of the application. So this is in some sense checking the 2 sources of the information, because as the user, if I interacted with the quiz or I completed the quiz or didn't yet, I will be having the information stored here as the in progress or completed. But if somebody recommended the learning for me, I will see here the information on this list as the recommended for me. So here I'm working with the 2 sources of the data, and I'm connecting with the information from a couple of the tables. And that was really challenging inside of the Power Apps. And to be honest, I think it is still not perfect. If I will go here.
There's a lot of components to this.
Yeah, I should maybe go with the components approach anyway. But the key to this idea is that you can use inside of the collection while filtering your data, you can use the lookups. So stating initially that I have this unique identifier for my modules, I can reuse that to connect the data from various places. And with that, I can get the whole module information in a single lookup, or connect with another table in my solution. So with this collection of the user's modules data, I'm taking the information from 3 different tables. And that was another challenge from the delegation perspective. Okay, so how this is really working? If we are starting filtering the information based on what we know will be, in some sense, this identifier for the user, then we can also use the lookup to extend our collection if we know this unique information. And while creating the collection, we'll get this feed from various tables, though we need to have this unique identifier applied in the initial table. That can be a little bit bending for the mind because I had a lot of troubles to create that.
Yeah, there's some longer queries here that we're seeing, you know, like with all the different lookups and the filters. How long did this take you to create, you know, when it, I guess from start, doesn't need to be start to finish, or maybe was there a part that took you a really long time, or things that you enjoy doing versus maybe something that was less enjoyable?
Yeah, I really enjoy really the whole process because it was a lot of challenges. As you can see here, there is like this V3, which is displaying, and getting all of this by the experimenting with what Power Apps are offering for us. It was really nice learning curve, and including this part to even display the data in this chart, because again, it is utilizing a lot of this rename, add columns capabilities. So if somebody would like to follow my steps in some sense to connect the information from various places, the add columns to understand how it is working is a must.
Yeah.
So inside of the Power BI, and that was really the main trigger. I struggled so much with getting this data connected that I started to learn the Power BI. I felt that the Power Apps is not solution for this for such operations, and that is why I decided to connect everything in the Power BI to provide a better reporting for the users.
So you didn't know anything about Power BI before diving into Power BI there?
No, it was like wow. I hit the wall with the what I can do in the Power Apps, or I felt that I would waste a lot of time trying to achieve some results. Yet I have this, perspective that there is a better tool, a better approach to save the time, and I didn't want it to stack too much to prove that it is doable in the Power Apps, because I know it is. Yet I thought that it is better to switch to another tool to provide this proper reporting capabilities.
Wow, this looks really great. Very clean. I mean, it looks like you've been doing Power BI for a little bit of time. You must have spent some time on this one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So going maybe to my main thought, that what is looking really nice and I think engaging for the users in the backend was quite challenging to achieve some results. and maybe slowly I will even move away from this screen of the reporting in a favor to a dedicated Power BI report. So, you know, I think we don't need to hit our heads on the wall to do a small bit where we have a technology which will support us.
That is awesome. So how long until you think that you're done? I know you said, is this completed or are you in progress?
This is constantly evolving because users are using this, and more people are aware about this solution. So I'm constantly getting some requests for changes, smaller or bigger, and it looks like we need to say at some point that we are finishing with the development, but we didn't say that yet. And for instance, this saving for later, there was a question that except these assignments which you have in your personal email, maybe you will bookmark the learning for yourself. And I started to think that, yeah, I can do a separate screen, I can create a separate list, but then I thought that there is this save for later built-in web part, which is basically allowing you to record all of your save for later in one place, and it is supported by the SharePoint. So I could spend a couple of hours trying to develop that, but fortunately I came across this web part. And
yeah, you used a lot of SharePoint capabilities and features that are out there too to make all of this work and look really good together. When you're building these pages, the templates, I thought that was a pretty cool call out. That's something that not everybody knows about. So you're able to use that in this solution, and that just streamlines that the production of a brand new page if you're putting one out there. Just in keeping it standard so people can easily identify that there are new pages and that there's new learnings out there. So that's pretty slick.
Yeah, so in some sense, I was thinking even to connect these two words of the app itself and these pages by allowing for the content creators to only provide the details in the application and generate that through the flow. But that would require to change quite a lot of bits and pieces in the whole solution. Because in the backend of this solution, there is also this recommendation flow, which is not the biggest process, but it is quite big. And because of changing that so much and so many times, I noticed something what I would like to share with you guys, that if you are changing your lists or sites or even the environments, you can create the object with your in some sense locations, where you need to provide the GUID IDs of your lists, and then this solution, if I will change the environments or move to another site, is super easy to update because I'm changing literally single variable, and it is propagated to the whole flow. So if you would like to create a modular flow which can be disconnected and just put into another place, this is a nice technique.
Awesome. Well, we have a couple minutes left. We can keep the floor open for questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to pop in. And then if you have anything else that you want to show, just kind of final wrap up anything, then we can have a couple minutes for that too. So anything that people have questions for, and then a couple minutes to wrap up.
Yeah. So first of all, apologies for such unstructured communication. Maybe I was trying to show too much in too many places, but the key idea for this solution is to utilize the knowledge which is inside of the company, because you can have the manuals, you can have stream videos, you can have this Microsoft Learning, and with such approach you can connect these various places, and with the quizzes you can check the knowledge and have some kind of the tracking how your people are doing with the learning, where normally buying these LMS solutions would cost you quite a lot. And now you have that all in the standard connections, because I didn't go with anything premium yet.
That's awesome. If you so when you share this out, you said that there are people that were asking you for updates and such. Is that something that you put out in the community that this is available, or is it something that people have bought, or you shared it with your company, or how does this work?
Currently, it is used only in our company, and it was initially for a single business unit, but the guys started to speak about that, and somebody from I think it was the compliance team, they said that they constantly need to check if somebody fill in something, or they are doing the quizzes with the checks, and that was ideal solution for them. And the word started to spread, and more people started to ask for that. And right now, to be honest, it is a little bit starting to be more important, this application life management, than the whole development, because if I would now split the application, I would have that in a couple of the instances, so trying to keep that in sync, it would be nightmare. But at some point, I would like to also package that in some meaningful way and share that with the community, because with our current needs, I know that people are using the Microsoft Forms, but I guess this type of the work would be also nice for some people.